Hello guys, and welcome back to another video of the Python series. What you have on your screen right now is the course outline for the whole Python series, Python course. And so far we've looked at computers, programming and programming languages, getting the computer ready for programming, and then we also looked at the command prompt. And then in the last video, the previous video, just the one before this, we learned why we should learn Python, like why the Python language, why not any other language. Now, according to this outline, in today's video we are going to learn something different. We are going to start with the Python language itself. So we'll start writing some Python code, and the first thing that we'll look at is how to create Python files using the Atom and the normal Windows thing. And then we'll write our first Python program using the print statement. I'll say more about the print statement very soon. After that, we'll discuss the print statement more, and then we'll show why I said earlier that Python is an interpreted language. Then after that, we'll look at some errors that you can get in writing the Python code, specifically syntax error. That's to say that you've not written the thing well. Then we'll also look at Python keywords. I'll explain what those are very soon. Then we'll look at the last two things, which is just comments and then the Zen of Python. Now, don't worry if my Windows looks a bit different. That's because I've upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And for this tutorial, I'm going to be using two screens. On the left is the outline for the course, and then the right is where we are going to be working on. This desktop is what we are going to be working on. So at this side we have the outline, and at this side we have where we are going to be working on. So without wasting much time, let's just get into it. Now, I've got this folder that we created in our previous video for our Python tutorial. I've got this folder opened up, and I always like to stay organized, so I'm going to create another folder in here. We already have a folder here called downloads, where we stored our downloaded files. I'm going to create another file called code, or should I say script files? Let me say script files rather. So I'm going to create another folder, and I'm going to name it scripts. Scripts is okay, and it is inside this folder that we are going to be writing our code, that we are going to be storing our Python files. For now, I'm going to leave the folder like that. It's empty, and I'm going to go to my start menu, and I'm going to open up the Atom code editor. Alright, so now Atom has been opened, and all I'm going to do is to open up the folder that we just created in Atom. And to do that, I'm going to make the Atom smaller, the Atom window smaller, and I'm going to basically drag and drop the script folder inside the Atom window. So I'm going to drop it over here, and automatically it's going to open up that folder in here. And if you can see on the left side where our folder structure is, our directory structure is, we have scripts over here as a folder. It has nothing in it, so basically it has nothing in it, so nothing. Now, how do we create our first Python file using Atom? To do that, you just need to right click on the folder that you want to create a file in this case the scripts folder, and you are going to click on new file. And when you click on new file, it's going to ask for a name of the file, and for this I'm just going to say introduction, but I'm going to add a number before it so that it will be organized. So this is 01 underscore introduction. Then in the last tutorial, or in the previous tutorials, I told you about the Python extension, which is .py. So after naming the file introduction, I want to add .py to it so that it will indicate that it's a Python file. So 01 underscore introduction.py. I'm going to hit the enter key, and as soon as I've done that, it has created a Python file for me basically. So this is a Python file. Now, if you would observe below, in the right bottom, in the bottom right of the window, we have Python written over here, showing that Atom editor was able to detect this file as a Python file. So we are on the right path, right? So basically, this is how easy it is for you to create a Python file in Atom. Very simple. Now we are going to start writing some Python code, and to write a Python code, all we need to do is to try something. So usually the first code that most beginners write, or the first code that most tutorials teach you to write, is to print out to the user or to tell the user hello world, the phrase hello world. But I'm not going to do that. I want to try something awesome, because hello world is kind of like everywhere. So the first Python code that I want you to write is to type into the file print with curly braces, and inside these curly braces I want you to write quotation marks. Any of them, it can either be single quotation or double quotation. I'm going to go with the double quotation marks, and I'm going to write in something here. Say revenue 44 is awesome. You can write your name if you want, and I'm going to add an exclamation mark. Now if you look at what I've done, basically written the print, and I've added braces to it, normal braces, normal brackets, and inside the brackets I wrote something over there in quotation marks. This is what we call a string. We'll look at that more, but then I've written a string in quotation marks, and I've basically written that revenue 44 is awesome. If you look at where my mouse is pointing, it has some some blue dots over there next to the file name. That shows that the file is not saved. So if you see that, make sure you save your file by basically pressing Ctrl+S, and your file will be saved. And as you can see, the blue dot is gone. Now after saving our file, we want to be able to run our Python code so that we see what exactly we've done. So to run our Python code, we are going to be using the CMD to do that. Most code editors come with the capability of running Python code without necessarily using the CMD, but I feel like that one is too easy and it will make you a bit limited. So we are going to be using the command prompt to be running our Python files. So to open up the command prompt in this folder, what I'm going to do is to switch to my PyBasics folder, the folder that we created to work in. I'm going to go into, I'm not going to go into script. In this folder, I'm going to go to the directory structure, where directory structure is written, and I'm going to write the CMD, just like what I taught in my previous video, how to open up CMD. And this should open up CMD with this path as the current directory opened. So as you can see, it has opened up CMD, and my current directory is revenue 44. You go to source, and then you go to PyBasics, which is the folder that we opened it in. I'm going to clear the space first with CLS, clear screen. Then I want to be able to run this Python file. Now how do you run a Python file in the CMD? It's very simple. You write the word Python, or Python 3 if you're on a Mac OS. You write the word Python, and then you write the path to the file that you want to run. So what do we want to run? Currently, if you look at our folder structure, we are in PyBasics, but we have to go to scripts before we find the file name 01 underscore introduction.py. So to be able to run this file, we write Python, then we want to write a path to that file, but then the path, we are going to be using a relative path. So I'm going to use the /, saying that from this current directory that we are in, it should move to another directory called scripts, as we've named it. Then it will find a file called 01 underscore introduction.py. Let me make this window a bit bigger, a bit larger, so that you're able to see what I'm doing. So I wrote Python, and I want to give a path to the file that we want to run. So I'm giving a relative path, which is the /, saying that from this current directory that we are in, it should move to another directory called scripts and look for a file in the directory called scripts. And the file is that file that it's going to be looking for is called 01 underscore introduction.py. And if I run this code by hitting the enter key, that should run our Python file. Now our Python file has been run, and as you can see, it has written out something over here for us. It has written out revenue 44 is awesome, just as we've said over here in our Python code. That's exactly what it has written over there for us. That's really great. I want to make the atom window a bit smaller so that we have the CMD at the side and we can access it easily. That would be a bit better. And you can bring your mouse here to collapse the directory structure, so that will be gone, and I can make this a bit smaller, that kind of split screen thing they've been doing. Yeah, so this is better. And I'm also trying to zoom in into the Python code so that you'll be able to see exactly what I've written. Alright, so print the string revenue44 is awesome with an exclamation mark, and we have run the code and it printed that for us. Revenue44 is awesome. Now, what is the print statement, or what exactly did we do? Now, if you write an expression like print with braces with it, this is what we call a function in Python. And a function in Python is just the same as a function in mathematics. And what functions in mathematics do is basically that they take inputs, they take something in and they can bring out something, or they're able to do something basically. So the print statement takes in an expression, takes in something, and it basically displays that on the screen for the user to see. That's how the print statement works. Very easy. So in this case, it is taking a string. As I've said earlier, we'll look at strings in upcoming videos, but for now, just know that a string is basically like a sentence or a collection of characters that you can put together. So we have a string over here, and it is written with quotation marks on it, either double quotation marks or single quotation marks. In this case, we are using a double quotation mark, so we are writing that, okay, print this expression over here, revenue44 is awesome, and we have written on that print again. So what would you want to print? Maybe you can print that his channel is great, and that's another thing. So you see, if I save this file now and I go back to my terminal and I run the code again, you can just press the arrow key, the arrow up button to repeat the previous code that you've written. So I just pressed enter, so it's basically repeated it. If I hit the enter key, now it has printed two things. It has printed revenue44 is awesome, his channel is great, as you can see. Now I'm going to try again and I'm going to explain something to you. I'm going to write print, but I'm going to forget one of the braces, and I'm basically just going to write something like this: hello. That doesn't work, or maybe it doesn't work, it's okay. I'm going to save this file, then I'm going to back to my terminal. I'm going to clear the screen, then I'm going to run the Python file again. I'm running the Python file by pressing the up key twice so that I'll go back to the previous code that I just wrote. I don't want to write the command again. It has come, and I'll just press the enter key. Now it tells me that there is an error. It says that the file that I've specified on line 4, there is a syntax error. So this is the error type, saying that it's a syntax error, and then there is an unexpected EOF while parsing. Now don't worry about what EOF means right now, but it has pointed us to line 4, right? And then it's saying that there is a syntax error. Now when we go back to our code, we have line 4, but then you realize that there's no code on line 4, which means something on line 3 or on the previous line could be causing it. Now if you look at what I've written on the previous line, I forgot to bring a closing bracket here, which means that our print statement is not closed. So what we have actually written here is not a correct Python syntax, it's not a correct Python code. So aside, they are telling us that there is a syntax error. A syntax error arises when you write something that is not recognized by Python as a Python code. That's it. Basically, that's a syntax error, right? So I'm going to correct this with the braces. I'm going to close the brackets now, save the file, go into my terminal, clear the screen with CLS, then I'm going to run the Python code again. I'm going to press the up button, the up arrow key, 2 times. The first one is the previous code I've written, which is CLS, and the one before that. So I'll press it again, and it will bring up the command that I just wrote, which is python.scripts/01introduction.py, showing the directory or the path to the file that I want to run. I'm going to hit the enter key, and now you see it works fine. It prints that revenue44 is awesome. It says that his channel is great, and it also says that hello doesn't work as it was supposed to. Now if you look at what's happening here, the Python code runs line by line. So it comes to line 1 and runs the first statement over here, which is print revenue44 is awesome. When it does that, it goes to the next line and run the second one, his channel is great. Then it goes to the the following line and run that, and then it says that, oh, hello doesn't work. Now this is why we say that Python language is interpreted. It takes the script file and runs it line by line. So it starts from the top and it runs that one, does everything that's needed. Then it goes to the next one, it will do everything. Then it goes to the next one and do what is needed. That's how it works. So it runs it, line by line. And that's one thing that's, bad about Python, because it means we are writing the code and you write maybe thousands of lines of code. If there is an error on the last line, it will have to run from the first line to the last one before you'll be able to get that error. Maybe not a syntax error, because syntax errors, they can easily be detected. That one is easy to be detected. But for our normal error, for other types of errors, you might need to suffer a bit to figure out the error. And that's one thing that's bad about Python. But in any case, it's still a good language. Still a general purpose language. You can do a lot of things. We're going to go back to our course outline and see whether we've been able to cover everything. Now, I've been able to tell you how to create Python files. We wrote our first Python file using a print statement. I'm supposed to tell you about a print statement, which I said that it's a function that takes in an input and is able to display that to the user. That's what a print statement does. And I showed you how Python is an interpreted language by printing out the thing one by one, line by line. Showed you the syntax error in Python. Now let's go to something we call Python keywords. Now, a keyword in Python is basically like a reserved word that is specific to Python. So some words, you can't just write them like that. If you write them, you are basically doing something in Python. For example, the print statement here is a keyword, right? It's a keyword, as in it's something that comes with Python, it's something that you use in Python, and they have special functions. Other keywords are, and you see, when I write a keyword, the color changes. I start writing and the color is a bit gray or white, I don't even know. And if I write the last letter, then the color changes. There is also is, if I start is another print. I don't know why. Yeah, that's happening because of the IntelliSense. So basically, the code editor also helps. If you try to write something, it tries to auto complete it. So I have is, right? Then I also have is, I have and, I have if, I have for, I have in, we have while. So these are just some of the keywords, and as you can see, the color coding of the keywords in the Atom, the Atom code editor. I don't know if this is pink or whatever it is, violet. I don't know. I'm not good with colors, so you can decide that for yourself. But if you see something written in this color, just know that that thing is a keyword in Python. And a keyword in Python is basically those words, those words that have special meaning in Python. They have special functionalities in Python, so you use them for something. In later videos, we look at the if, for, in, while. We look at them and we look at how they all work. So don't worry about them now, but just know that there are certain words that are specific to Python. We call them Python keywords. It's not like they are specific to Python. Other languages might use them, but in Python they are keywords. They have special functionalities. Just do it like that, and I think you will be okay. Next thing that I would like to look at is to talk about comments in Python. Now, a comment in Python is basically a text that is written for the user himself, not for anybody, not for the Python code to run, but for the user himself. So when Python is running the code, when Python interpreter is trying to run your code, when it comes across a comment, it skips it. It doesn't see it as a Python code, so it skips it. It doesn't matter what you've written over there. You just need to show that it's a comment, and it will skip it. Usually we use it to write descriptions of what we are doing in the code. See, you can't write thousands of lines of code and not write a description for it. It means if another person looks at this code, you wouldn't even understand. Sometimes yourself, you might come back to this this program and then you don't even recognize your handwriting. You don't recognize what you've written. That's the main purpose of writing comments. Now, how do you write a comment in Python? How do you write a comment in Python? Well, there are two types of comments that we write. The first one is just a normal comment, a simple comment, and we do that by writing a hash, a pound. Yeah, this is a pound sign, right? No, this is a pound sign. Well, write that by writing a hash, and then after writing a hash, you write whatever you need to write. So hash, I'm inputting out to the user. So maybe show the user you are awesome. So hash show user, you are awesome. So what I've written here is a comment, and as you can see, you can see the color code, and it's a bit faded, and it's sort of gray, but more gray than the normal one that I just wrote. And that's a comment, and it will be skipped by the Python interpreter. So usually the comment is supposed to describe something. So if I'm supposed to show the user that I'm awesome, I'm going to print here that revenue 44 is awesome. Right, so the comments at the top describe the code below it, and that's a really good way of writing comments. Mind you, don't write the comments to basically copy what you've written on the next line. No, write it in a sort of descriptive way. Now if I save this file and I go back to my terminal, clear the screen, and I want to run it, so I'll write python /scripts/ and then we want 01 underscore introduction.py. Remember the spelling, or else you will not find that file because the file has a specific name. Now hit the enter key, and it says revenue 44 is awesome. As you can see, it has basically skipped the first line with a comment. Show user you are awesome. It's a comment, and it's not something that Python recognizes as a Python code. It doesn't care about it, it just skips it. It's a note to yourself or to whoever is reading your code, not to Python. That's how easy it is for you to leave a comment in Python. Now, I said that there are two ways of writing a comment. The other way is to write a doc string. Mostly these are used when you are trying to create functions, which we'll learn in upcoming videos. To be able to do that, just write 3 quotation marks and also end with 3 quotation marks. Either single quotation marks or double quotation marks, they all work. And then inside the 2 set of quotation marks, 3, you can write whatever you want to write. So this is a doc string. Now you realize that the doc strings have a separate color compared to the normal colors that you have. The normal color of the comment. The doc strings, they are strings, so they have the same color as the string, but it doesn't really matter. Python will still ignore it because you're not doing anything with it. You're just leaving a note to yourself. So if I go ahead and save this file, go to my terminal, my CMD, clear the screen again, and I'm going to write Python, and I want to run ./scripts/01 introduction.py. If I run this, it only says that Python is awesome, and it basically skips this part because it's a note to yourself. It's not for Python to talk about, right? Now, after talking about the comments in Python, the last thing that I would like to consider before we end up this video is the Zen of Python. Now, I want to just show you first, then we consider what it is. For you to look at the Zen of Python, all you need to write is this: import this. This is the code, import this. And if you run this, go to your Python code, clear the screen, and then run it again. I'm writing it myself so that you see what I'm doing. Python, and I'm writing a relative path / saying that from this current directory that we are in, move to a directory called scripts, and then look for a file called 01 underscore introduction.py. Hit the enter key. Alright, so it's saying that it can't find this directory. You can see that what I've written over there, I misspelled my script. I said scripts. I don't know what that is. So I'm basically going to correct that. I'm going to go into my script and I'll write it well. Scripts. Yeah. Hit the enter key. Now it brings out a couple of things over here. I'm going to make it a bit larger so that you're able to see exactly what they've written over here. Now it says that the Zen of Python, and it was written by Tim Peters. You can go and search for him on Twitter. He's there. It says that beautiful is better than ugly, explicit is better than implicit, simple is better than complex, complex is better than complicated, flat is better than nested, sparse is better than dense, readability counts, special cases aren't special enough to break the rules. Although practicality beats pure Although practicality beats purity, errors should never pass silently. Unless explicitly silenced. You should know, like, although practicality beats purity, errors should never pass silently unless explicitly silenced. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. So do not guess. There should be one, and preferably only one, obvious way to do it. Although that way may not be obvious at first unless you are Dutch. Now, wait, which of the language am I reading? In face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. There should be one, and preferably only one way to do the thing. Obviously, like, that way might not be like that obvious at first. That's what they are trying to say. They are saying that now is better than never, although never is often better than right now. If the implementation is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. So if it's hard to explain, don't do it. If the implementation is easy to explain, it may be a good idea. The word is may. It may be a good idea. And then they are also saying that namespaces are one on honking great ideas. Let's do more of those. Now, the whole idea of the Zen of Python is for you to be guided. And when you're writing Python code, there are certain things that you should always be considering. You should always know that if you write a beautiful code, it's always better than the code being ugly. And being more explicit with the things that you do is better than being implicit. Being explicit as in, like, you know, showing everything how it's supposed to be, not hiding some things or trying to, you know, cover up some things with some expressions. It's always better to, like, state the thing as it's supposed to be. Simple is better than complex, complex is better than complicated. Like, these are things that you should consider when you're writing your Python code. And that's the whole concept of the Zen of Python. So I'll urge you all to read this and understand it and keep it in mind, so that whenever you're writing a Python code, you know exactly what you are doing, and then you wouldn't write some nasty code over there. All these are very important. So guys, that's it for this particular video. I thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video and would like to support me, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel for more, you know, share the video to other people to watch. Thank you all for watching. If you'd like to become my friend, don't forget to go and follow me on Twitter. You can send me a message, anything, I'll reply. You can tweet to me. The handle is Trevenue44, as I've always been saying. I'll leave that in the description also. Do also check out the other videos on the channel, and please share the video so that everyone will be able to get it. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. And oh, if you have any comments, questions, additions, or anything relating to what we have covered in this particular video, be sure to leave that in the comment section. I'll do all to reply you. Any problem, I'll reply you, and then we'll help you solve it. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video of this series.